Hey, welcome guys to a very special episode of Dollar Reviews. This is our best of 2015 list. It was supposed to be yesterday. It was supposed to be the week before that. I've had a really hard time trying to solidify this thing. My name is Brian Gillis. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Stephen Malmanex.
So let's try to get this show on the road.
If you want 2015, some closure.
Exactly. I mean, the Oscars are still a couple of weeks off, but we can
closure for myself.
Try our best.
Yeah.
If you want to see these lists online, we're also going to be posting them on our letterbox and also tweeting them. That's at Dollar Views.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find it either way right there. Let's start off with some honorable mentions. Steve, you go first. What do you got? That didn't make the cut necessarily.
God. A lot of these were pretty close. You know what? One that I feel really bad about is The Martian, which was so close, honestly.
It's
really
not even.
Yeah. Also, what else? I liked The Night Before a lot, actually, when I talked about it. I still think it's really funny. I think now, though, because when I praised it, it was so soon after seeing it, now it might have faded from my mind a bit more, and I'm not sure if there's much replay value in it there, but I still have to admit I had a great time when I saw it, so take that for what you will.
Are these the ones that didn't make your honorable mentions or the honorable mentions?
These are my honorable mentions.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah,
I was confused.
Why would I make a list of things that aren't my honorable mentions? The
I don't know. It's like
mentions
the honorable
mentions.
List.
That's what honorable mentions are, is like the stuff that just wasn't
some
there.
People look at them as like an extension. So we're doing top 10. Some people, they have 5 honorable mentions. It's like that's 15, 14, 13, and so on.
They are far more scattered. I am going to be cheating, though, when you get to this list a little bit. You'll see how. But yeah, I mean, right now, that's what honorable mentions are.
So
it's just the stuff that didn't quite.
You got The Martian.
I got
The night before.
I don't know. Did you finally see Sleeping with Other People?
No, I planned to this morning, and I kind of slept in.
Yeah, I mean that is the rom-com that is not exactly the rom-com. Like, it has the template, and yet it doesn't exactly follow it really. And but I thought it was just much more interesting than and very refreshing in comparison to all the other rom-coms out there. Especially. I think I'll talk about it in one of the little categories that you have later that'll come up, but also one that came out earlier this year that was so badass, Kingsman. I honestly, I know you think Spy is the better movie, but this was so much more fun and had so much more creative action. It was freaking hilarious. And I think
we talk about this. It's a comic book.
The best Sam Jackson performance of the year too.
But I mean, it's a comic book, so it's easier to have that kind of action. There was already a storyboard drawn out for the scenes.
It's got more of an element of silliness to it, but it's
plus that's an action
movie
that's comedic, whereas Spy is a comedy that's an action movie.
But I think it plays with the genre a bit better, honestly.
In a different way, yeah.
God, and I guess as far as animation, Paddington is half of that, but there's also Shaun the Sheep and the Peanuts movie. All just really good family films that have a lot of charm and were just a great time, honestly.
Is that your list?
I think that pretty much covers it, yeah.
So mine's a little bit longer, more serious movies. I'll start off that very close to making the list, Steve Jobs. I'd call it my number 11. No one saw it. No one's probably gonna see it. It deserves a re-release. It's not gonna get it. Fassbender's nominated for Best Actor. But it's a really important film about someone that did a lot for not just our culture, but the technology that we take for granted today. And it's funny, and it moves so quick, and the music is really cool based on the time periods. And you've heard me probably talk about this before if you listen to our show, but just didn't make the cut. In addition to that one, Man from Reno, great movie. Technically, it came out in 2014 as a Kickstarter film. But just it subverts the.
It's funny. I remember now when Anomalisa came out. I was gonna say I could not think of what movie you said was probably the best crowdfunded thing ever. And now that Anomalisa has come out, do you still stand by that?
No, Anomalisa is definitely better. But at the time, I definitely thought that was the pinnacle of the crowdfunding experience, especially when you compare it to something like The Sweet Blood of Jesus or We're Still Here. Not We're Still Here. What's the Zach Braff? What was that film?
Wish I Was Here.
Wish I Was Here. Yeah. But yeah, Man from Reno. If you love the noir, really fun, really smart take on it, especially because that doesn't happen often. Real interesting thing that's going on here in San Francisco. So you got this Japanese author coming to the shore. That's all I'll say about it. I believe it's still on Netflix. If it is, you deserve to check it out, especially if you love, 50s era style of filmmaking. Also, Shaun the Sheep, just really fun throwback claymation silent film. Definitely for the kids, for the family, like laugh a minute type stuff without having to tell you what's going on. And so it's great for the world as a whole because anyone in any country can enjoy it. It's all sight gags and fun stuff that happens. And now I'll get into more serious things that just didn't make it. Ex Machina, it's got a lot of award praise at the Oscars. It might win a thing or two. Um, just a visual feast, really fun to watch. That dance scene alone is the second best dance number of the year, in my opinion. Real interesting, especially if you like deep tech stuff and you're into AI and the future of technology. And then there's also like some fun commentary on Facebook and how surface their technologies are when probing us. And I got last one before I talk about a special category here. Creed. Everyone's probably seen this movie. If you didn't, you should. It got snubbed for a lot of things besides Sylvester Stallone, but Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler are really what make it special. And also his girlfriend in the movie, whose name escapes me, she kind of brings humanity angle to this boxing tale. But
I
that
mean, just as
scene,
the female love interest too
yeah,
is
she's
much
more
more
than that, but
refreshing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. In comparison, exactly.
But yeah, that second fight in that movie, the single take, yeah, it's fun. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on our actual list, but I really enjoyed that scene. And then the final honorable mention here, it's a trio of films, and I'm pretty sure at least one of these are actually going to be on your list. The three are Dope, Paper Towns, and Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Mm.
Really work well together from different angles. You know, Dope is the hip black film about technology and getting into college. Paper Towns is the whodunit road trip movie about self-discovery and what fame in high school really means. And then Me and Earl and the Dying Girl is the cancer movie that is more avant-garde than The Fault in Our Stars. But all three are really solid. Not all of them have the John Hughes angle. Me and Earl kind of skips out on that, but I really think that the three of those films in the years to come are gonna be, part of the lexicon of what it means to be a teenager in the millennial generation.
I can strangely see the connection there. I never would have thought to put it. It's there, and it also isn't.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, the first two in particular, and then like I said, Me and Earl is a lot more different, and it's going for a certain angle, and it's for the Sundance crowd. And that one, if you like Juno or 500 Days of Summer, and you want a cancer movie like that, it's a perfect watch, even if it's a little emotional. You can read my review for that one. It's not a review by like conventional standards. It's more of a self analysis, like a diary entry. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, and you can kind of see where we're going with our list here, we were supposed to snake, but we kind of messed up. We'll do that for the actual top 10. Let's do some awards that we've hand selected here. Not our Oscars, but just some like tidbits. What was your most overlooked film of the year? What do you
Like,
think film goers and critics just either didn't care for or skipped out on, and it deserves more watches?
well, I'm not going to say the one that I actually think because I am going to mention in the top 10, but I think one that definitely not many people have seen for sure is Chirac. Definitely,
Well, yeah, because it's not
definitely a
Amazon
very
Prime
important
yet.
movie. Yeah.
Wait another month.
Yeah. Overlooked. God, what else? Yeah, I don't want to say the one that I'm actually thinking,
Yeah.
but I'll definitely mention that later.
I think I know what you're talking about too. Mine, you
Do
had it in
what
your
do you
honorable.
think? Just say
I
the
don't want
name.
to.
No, just say
It's
it.
gonna
I'm
be
not
the
gonna
end of the
answer.
tour. It's
Uh,
probably the end of the tour.
sure, that's one of them, but no, that's not the one I was thinking.
Okay. Most overlooked for
I'm
me
pretty
is
sure the.
Paddington,
Oh,
which was in your honorable mentions. You recommended this to me, and I had a blast with it. Really great family film that
it did
no one
really
saw.
well. I don't think it was overlooked. It was really busy. Like it was one of those January movies that did very, very well because there was nothing else at the time.
Maybe it's just that it's a year old and my
Yeah.
memory's hazy, but no one's talking about it. Like it, I don't know. It's not necessarily an awards film.
No, but it's getting a
Um,
sequel.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. I don't know.
It's
It
it's
just
much bigger internationally than it is here.
well, Paddington the character is much bigger internationally.
Yeah, no, I mean, keep in mind, it came out everywhere else before it showed up here. So we're kind of behind on that. It's technically a 2014 film.
What are some of your best performances of the year that weren't recognized?
I think Jason Segel, that's probably the big one.
Hmm.
But also, I mentioned this earlier with Sleeping Other People. Alison Brie, I don't think that's an Oscar-worthy performance necessarily, or it's not something that they look for, but her performance in that movie just
You just make me
so
want to see
good.
this
Yeah,
more.
no, I mean, she's really good, man. Like, you have to see it. It's really, really good. Andrew Garfield in 99 Homes. That was definitely one of the ones that left a big impression on me. God, what else?
I think you're leaving out like a really big one here.
Go ahead.
Jacob Tremblay from
Oh,
Room.
yeah, yeah.
He got robbed. He needed
I
an
keep
Oscar
forgetting.
nomination.
Honestly, I keep forgetting. Like, I know that that's constantly referred to as a performance, but I keep thinking of that kid as it's so good that I'm not thinking that's a performance. You
Like
know?
Christian Bale was nominated for what? 15 minutes of screen time. Most of the time it's just him drumming to Pantera.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't do much in that movie.
Well,
Like
that's a
Steve
supporting.
Carell,
That's a supporting nom too, right?
I don't believe
I
so.
don't
No.
think he got lead, did he?
I think he did, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
And even if it wasn't, Steve Carell is much more deserving because
Yeah.
his
Oh,
character
yeah.
kind of guides the entire film. Like it's even though yes, Christian Bale's character Michael Burry, PhD, is the one that discovers, that there's a problem going on here. Like Steve Carell is kind of us, and
He's
he's
got the most fascinating character just
yeah.
in general. Yeah.
Well, like his
I
whole
don't think
group.
that's not the guy's real name in real life though, because I don't know. I think they wanted a bit more confidentiality there.
I'm not sure, but yeah,
Yeah.
Jake Tremblay. Room is it's a really good movie. Brie Larson deserves all the praise she's getting, but it's really his performance that drives that film, and it's his perspective. And we talked about this in each of our respective reviews for the film. But I'd be amazed if she won and didn't get him on the stage with her.
I got a
And
couple
then my
more.
other one,
I got a couple more
you got a
actually.
couple more. My
Yeah.
other big one is just like the whole cast of Southpaw because that movie
That
just
is a big one. Yeah.
it disappeared. It's funny because Harvey Weinstein at Cannes and it couldn't run in the festival because Jake Gyllenhaal was on the jury, but he promised that Gyllenhaal was gonna take a Oscar home. He didn't even get nominated. No one got nominated. That movie didn't get nominated for anything. I don't think it even like in the smaller ones. I mean, it can't do the Spirit Awards, but like nothing. And Jake Gyllenhaal has a really powerful performance, and Forrest Whitaker. Rachel McAdams less so, but she's only in it for like 5 minutes anyway. Like his daughter in that flick, who's also the daughter in Ant-Man. But yeah, that movie, like not the best movie out there, but really solid, and no one
No, the
cared
daughter
about
in
the
Ant Man's the one
performances.
that was in Selfless, wasn't it?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You said you have a couple others here.
Yeah, Abraham Atta in Beast
Oh
of No
yeah, Beast
Nation.
of No
I mean,
Nation.
honestly,
Look at Idris
that
Elba and Beast of No Nation.
but mainly that kid, like, even though this is not one of my favorite movies, I mean, that final monologue, it stays with
Hmm.
you. Like, just especially that delivery. I mean, even that trailer for that movie also is so great, where they basically use that monologue as a voiceover. I mean, just really, really haunting. But also, I know that this one's not one that's getting much recognition, but I really, like I said yesterday, I really liked Joseph Gordon-Levitt in The Walk. Really, really good
Not
performance.
for
You
me.
can nitpick the accent, but like it's like you said,
Even
he
without
really
the
gets the essence of the
accent, it's
guy.
not. Oh yeah, he definitely
I
does.
know,
But
and
I mean,
that
I
just really
said
comes
this.
shining through. I think it's a great performance because of that.
I said this in a review for that film when we did it. It's like you can see Man on Wire. It's not. It's on Netflix, and you can get it from the horse's mouth, and it's just as powerful of a movie. Obviously, if you're seeing it in 3D or if you saw it in IMAX, you get the spectacle element. But outside of those last 30 minutes that you were sucking off last night, I think it's a pretty forgetful movie, like a powerful movie, like a really good return for Robert Zemeckis more so than Flight. But I don't know.
Yeah, okay, I got three more now.
Three more. You got a lot of
Okay,
these.
okay, Paul Dano. You know that. We
Yeah.
forgot to mention that.
Yeah, we've already talked about this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We
so
talked
that's
about
for
this off
sure.
air, yeah.
God, I feel bad now because all these names, it's like Oscar's so wide. I wish I could find a different name, but okay, John Krasinski in Aloha.
What?
Maybe not best performance, but I mean, it just came
Oh,
to mind. But
he has
here's one that you
one
will
line of dialogue, and he just looks at the camera
see.
and
That's
smiles.
that best acting is just expression.
Sure.
Okay, but
Silent
here's
film
one that
era.
you'll agree
Awesome.
with, and I'm kind of joking, but at the same time, I'm a little bit serious. Charlton Copley,
No, yeah, I agree with
Chappie.
that. I definitely agree with
Yeah.
that. I think a like really powerful performance, really great mocap. Whatever Sony did there, I hope more people do.
Okay, and one more because no one's talking about it. But yeah, Michael B. Jordan. I
Everyone's
agree.
talking about that. What are you talking about? They
Well,
already were
okay,
anyway.
yeah, but it's not being in the it's not being recognized. So it's kind of it is an underappreciated, under-recognized performance.
I just like he's really great in it, and the only reason he didn't get nominated for an Oscar is because there's only five choices, and maybe they have to change this because if you think about it, the Academy changed how many Best Pictures they have. It used to be 10, then it turned into five, and now it's back to five plus. If there's more than five Best Pictures, why can't there be more than five actors?
Yeah,
They should change that to make it accordingly.
yeah,
In the same
it's
way
tough.
of director, like how is it, or even worse, like there's only three nominations for best costume and makeup.
I don't know how to
There's
play
only
this stuff. Yeah, but I mean,
five
no, he
movies.
really, it's funny. I mean, I know that Fantastic Four is,
Yeah,
it is what it is. But I mean, you got to admit, even though his character is not that great, just his presence in that movie really does elevate it. Like he really
yeah,
does.
he makes it a lot better than
Yeah,
it.
he does really just give it like
Even if that
a bit
racing
more
scene
energy.
is god awful, like they had so much potential with him and his. He was a Honda Civic, right? No, it was MR2. Whatever. No, it was a Mustang. It was a Ford Mustang. Yeah. So even whatever it was, when they're doing that race, they could have easily made it really good. It was going to be the first action sequence of the movie, and instead it sucks, and his car just like kind of blows up. But yeah, he definitely him and his dad in that movie. They bring more to it than it should have.
Okay, shit. I got
What we're
one
trying
more
to get
too.
here, you got one more.
Yeah, I got another one. It's tough. See, if you ask me to like pick for the
This is why I
Oscars,
gave
like the
you
best
the
acting
awards
category,
beforehand. Uh-huh.
I know, but I mean, it's like every time I can never judge like one performance is truly great. Like it's easier to pick like five bad performances out of 100 then because like I honestly do feel like actors are some of the people that like they always do a perfect job and it's really tough to rank one against another because they work with what they have and they convince you that the person they're presenting on
So what you're
screen
saying
is in
here is
character. Yeah, I mean, I
Jessica
love what actors do.
Chastain and Crimson Peak.
Oh yeah, even then, yeah, that too. That's not the one, but I mean, no, I love what actors do, and I sort of hate having to pit them against another because that's like the toughest category to pick a
It's a
standout.
weird
Usually,
one.
if you give someone an award, it's because they do some sort of physical transformation or they do something that seems so unlike
Yeah, memorable or hard to
themselves.
do.
Yeah, but it's even if like they're using the same voice or they got the same haircut or whatever, they're still it's really them playing a different person internally.
I mean,
It's
that's why the
like
SAG Awards
especially
do best ensemble and things like that.
I mean, honestly, when you go to film school and you see like bad amateurish performances from
Oh
people
yeah,
that just don't know what they're doing,
you really
it
appreciate
really,
what professionals do.
yeah, even if it's in a bad movie, like even if it's something like Bradley Cooper in Aloha or even Emma Stone, it's not like they're bad. They're
They're good in that
doing,
movie.
yeah, they're good, and
I
they're
think that
just in a
movie's
movie.
good. It's just it.
They're in a movie that doesn't work, but they're playing the roles that they are given, and they realize
If
them
that
really well.
movie
So
didn't have the political NASA stuff going on, if that was absent, it would be a much better movie, but it tries to be too smart. It tries to tell you like a message. It tries to have this special thing, and that's not what Cameron Crowe's good at. He's good at the romance, and it tries to go beyond that. But I really enjoyed the relationship in that movie. I thought it was powerful.
it's very tough to pick
Great chemistry.
performances. Okay, last one I'm going to mention Tom Hardy in Legend. Not a movie that
I
I
still
love.
see that.
Not a
But
movie that I
the
love,
fact
but
that
he
he
is a
did
highlight.
a
Yeah.
dual role, he was good also in. Oh man, what was the name of it? The one
The
where he plays
Revenant,
a bartender.
the Drop.
That was last year though,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was good
he was
though.
he was really good in that. Like he's solid in almost everything he does. Even as much of it pains me to say, The Dark Knight Rises with his speaker box voice. He's a great actor, and he's finally getting recognition, even if he's not getting the awards nominations in directly. But look at Mad Max. All the awards that's got, and it wouldn't be nearly as powerful. Not only just him, because he doesn't really bring much to the movie. But fucking Furiosa, like Charlize
Yeah.
Theron,
Oh, okay, yeah, that too.
she could have
He's
easily got
also he
nominated
has
for
a
an
really good
Oscar.
presence though
Oh
in
no,
that
yeah, he has
movie.
a
I like
great
it. Yeah.
presence, but it's her
Shit,
movie.
I got one more I have to mention now. I'm thinking
Out
about
with it.
two. I'm surprised you didn't mention Emery Cohen because I was expecting you to
Eh.
mention him. Yeah, yeah. No, you said you loved him in it. Those are your
I
words.
did love him, but in the power, like in the movie, like like it wasn't his performance; it was his charm and it was his charisma. There wasn't anything about him in particular that made me feel like it was going to be anyone else that would have taken his shoes. Like I don't know. Like Domhnall Gleeson, in Star Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna say going from Star Wars, I was gonna say Adam Driver. So good.
Eh.
Honestly, I think he's intimidating enough that he may not surpass Darth Vader as a villain, but stands shoulder to shoulder really well across that. I think it's that iconic
They're
already.
already
Honestly,
gonna
that
bring.
voice is just perfect.
He's gonna be in Disney parks in a
Hmm.
couple of months, so that's
Yeah.
cool. It'd be awesome to play that face character. Well, not face
I
because
think
you'd have the mask
that's such a
on.
great villain already. I honestly believe that.
It's only got places to go. It's only up from here.
Hmm.
Let's move to the next award.
Before I keep going.
Yeah. What was your favorite movie of the year that no one liked?
Uh, God, how? Can I? Well, I don't know. I guess I kind of want to. No, I can't say Good Dinosaur because some people do like that. But it's kind of really just like okay. I got one actually. Because this is one that nobody likes, and I'm the only one that does.
Fuck you.
No, Sinister 2.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Fantastic Four.
No, no, no. Sinister 2, I genuinely like. If I look at it, it's not a necessary sequel.
I remember you talking about the cool
Yeah.
stuff they do with other mediums like vinyl and Super 8, or not. They already did Super 8, but like I don't know. I just remember you talking that they used other mediums for what was the Gahul
Bagul.
Gabul
Yeah.
for his presence to be felt or a lasting impression. And after I saw the first one earlier this year, I definitely wanted to check out the sequel.
I think the
For no
first
other reason
one.
than Deputy So and So is back in it.
Yeah, I mean
James
the
Ransome.
first one is a much stronger story, and there is an overall point to it. There, I mean, and
Well, it's Ethan Hawke too.
yeah,
So
and a much stronger character. I mean, yeah, what he gets to do here. Here, it's just a sequel. Like it is pretty much a cynical cash
cash
grab.
cow.
But
Yeah.
but I mean, these are the same. It's the same writers that are basically involved, and I do think even if the direction of where this is going is not that strong, there's still some fun being had in the writers' room of just referencing things like Children in the Corn and just playing with like this centers around two twins and just
Yeah.
playing around with like writing how two twins act and I think it doesn't necessarily develop the mythology in ways that are like necessarily necessary.
I don't know. That movie made money though. It made more than the first one, didn't it?
Sinister 2, I
Or
don't
did
think
it bomb?
so.
I can't remember.
It's Blumhouse. It's made for a
It's
very
made for
low
quick
amount of
budget.
money.
Yeah.
But I don't think it. No, I don't think it tanked. It wasn't a necessary sequel, but I mean, I really did enjoy it. I mean, there's some really, really pretty awesome Super 8 movies in there. They're not nearly as good as the first, though. I think part of that was because this time they knew they were going for an R rating, whereas the first one they were shooting it for a PG-13. And the ratings board said, no, you can't overturn
Yeah.
it. It's
That
just
Super
too
8 stuff
scary.
in that first movie really good.
Yeah,
I
and
think
I think that because they downplayed it,
not
it just
to
made it much more eerie and
uh,
effective.
not to cut you off, but mine is probably Chappie. I really like that movie a lot, like more so than I think anyone else did, and I don't know why.
I
Um,
respect it well enough. I like the ideas in it, but it doesn't.
it's like you just said this earlier, overlooked performances, like Sharlto Copley in that movie is really good. Di Antwoord is really good. Dev Patel is really good. Like they have strong performances. I get that it doesn't work 100%. Like Hugh Jackman with the mullet's a little bit weird, but I think also that just because that they kind of set it up not just from the beginning but also at the end for not only a sequel but probably a trilogy, and that wasn't smart with the Untested Property. And then also Neil Blomkamp doesn't have the best track record in the box
Yeah.
office outside of District 9, and that was kind of like a
Elysium
fluke.
was it wasn't a total bomb. I think it did modestly well.
It did pretty badly though. I mean, like
No,
for the budget.
it's got over 200 mil worldwide. I think.
Yeah, but I think the budget was like
under 100.
120, or was
I
it
thought
like
it was under that. Or
I don't. It was a
was
lot.
I don't
It's
know.
like plus marketing, plus just the cast to get Matt Damon and Jodie Foster. So
I mean,
I don't know.
I still
I did
like
not
enough.
care for that movie.
I still think that movie, the fact that that movie got made, there's some pretty amazing stuff in there. Like I definitely probably support it more because I want to see more original sci-fi like that made, and it's insane that he had enough clout to get that movie made. But yeah, no, it's not a
Just
perfect movie, but there's a
fucking.
lot of cool stuff in it.
There's something about Chappie and just watching Sharlto Copley like trace this trajectory of where Chappie, like how he develops, and like his gangster talk and the stuff he does, plus like the bunny ears. And I've talked about this before, and like the using a stack of PS4s to make a supercomputer, like that is brilliant product placement for a Sony movie. Like that is so
Uh,
genius.
it's I don't know if I'd say brilliant, but it's definitely product placement.
I'm sure
It is
someone out
that.
there was watching the movie and like, I want that now.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, my favorite year was probably Chappie that no one liked. Probably also Scout's Guide to the Apocalypse. I really like that. Like that could also fit into that trifecta I talked about earlier with Dope Paper Towns and Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. It'd probably fit better than Me and Earl. It's really fun coming of age movie with, risque subject matter, and it's in a genre that's overused, but it has its own spin that's fun enough. Yeah, I hope that's doing well at Redbox. I know it's available at home now. So you check that one out, especially if you don't care for Blomkamp or Chappie. The flip side of this coin, what was the film that you hated that everyone loved?
Oh God. Well, I don't know if I'd say hated, but I really didn't care for Mississippi Grind. I'm I really
Thanks.
don't see what's so special about Carol. I tried, but
I
I really
turned that one
couldn't.
off. So
Yeah. Evidently, it's funny because I know Macbeth has a lot of rave reviews, but after I talked about it, it seems like people also had a similar experience without having shitty sound in the front. Like, there's people that really didn't dig that for similar reasons, so I'm not so sure if I need to see it again now.
hmm.
Um,
Does that
but
relate to this topic though? Hated that everyone loved. Like, did that even do well? Did that get good? A good.
no, no, yeah, I think it's like at 90%. But like, yeah,
Well,
it
how
wasn't
many
until
reviews were actually done though?
I don't know. I think it's certified fresh. I'm not sure at this point, but
Eh.
it's funny because I did listen to the Slash Film Cast review of it while I was working on while I was doing some physical work. But yeah, they kind of echoed my sentiments, so, and I felt less incompetent. So I'm kind of glad that it wasn't. I hate the fact that I had such a terrible technical experience because I wish I could have at least appreciated the photography if there wasn't so many other elements just getting in the way of that film's
Mhm.
presentation.
Let me backtrack real fast. I also, and we talked about this off air last night. I kind of like Jupiter Ascending
Oh yeah, no,
more than I should have.
I don't know. I guess it's fine. I had I think I when I saw it. Here's the thing: is I'm more kind to movies that are ambitious, even if they're not necessarily good. Like I tend to respect what they're going for, and it does get very convoluted and all over the place. But I still think it's amazing that that movie got made.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the
As
Wachowskis, so
opposed,
it's not that
I mean, yeah,
amazing.
they have
But
they got good relationships with Warner Brothers, and so they were able to
did
do
you
it. But
remember hearing about they had a secret Sundance premiere
yeah, this
and
did not. Yeah,
no one showed up
yeah.
or they walked out? That's so
Yeah,
sad.
no, it's a bummer. It's definitely not a. It's kind of a confusing movie, but I did enjoy the visceral thrills of
It's a
it.
fun movie. Um, but yeah, hated that everyone loved. You said Macbeth and Mississippi Grind. Fuck you. Mine was
I can't say hated. Like if you want, I think I only hated like three movies this year. What is there? There's Taken 3. There's Pixels. There's Vacation. Like
yeah,
I
don't
don't think
love
there's
those.
anything else that I hated. Like there's stuff that I definitely didn't like,
Um,
but I don't know if there's hated.
well, I wouldn't say hated, but I really didn't care for Going Clear, the Scientology documentary by HBO Docs. It was just a film that was trying to attack the Church of Scientology, and they get enough of that. And this was an award-winning documentary that is on HBO Go, and I was checking it out for a reason. And they have some good interviews, like Mike Haggis is in it, or I mean Paul Haggis rather, and so he's talking about his experiences and other celebrities and going into how crazy it is, and they talk about like Tom Cruise and finding a wife and the whole Katie Holmes thing and all this stuff, and it's really informative, but its point of view is so sinister. Like this is a film that's trying to attack the Church of Scientology that I just couldn't respect it from a filmmaking standpoint. Like that's not a documentary in my opinion. Like it was too negative about a thing that everyone's already so negative about. Like if it was informative, and it is to an extent, like the first half of it, like it does teach you the stuff that South Park has already kind of done with the tests and the money you have to pay, or also The Master a couple years ago, Paul Thomas Anderson, and like it gets into this stuff. It's all factual because you're learning firsthand accounts from these people. But for some reason, in the second half, it just goes let's follow this and let's follow this, and I just didn't care for um how like it was bashing an institution that a lot of people care for. Like if that same movie was made about Catholicism, not in the way that Spotlight is dealing with the religion, but the
Mhm.
actual religion itself, there
More
would
people would be
be,
up in arms.
oh yeah, like it would be a huge deal because like you can make fun of every religion, like any organized system that encourages faith and worshiping
I mean,
through
look at
monetary.
religionists. You know,
Yeah, I didn't like that either. That was really weird. That was just Bill Maher, like
I I think it's funny, but its thesis is very very dark and way
yeah.
too cynical for my taste. But yeah, no, it does have some pretty good funny points. I
No,
think.
yeah, it has good points, like
Yeah.
in the same way that Going Clear does. But it didn't get nominated for best documentary, and there's a lot of people surprised about that. And I really didn't care for it. And what do you expect when the Academy of voters are voting for these things? There's probably a lot of people in the church from there. Moving to our last category before we get to the top 10, because that's all you're listening for anyway, right? We've already wasted 30 minutes of your time, basically. Do you have any picks that were too obvious to make your list?
God, I don't know what to say. I mean, remind me again what you're trying to go for with that.
Basically, these are things that aren't on your honorable mentions, aren't on your top 10, but they probably should have been there, and you left them off anyway.
Like I don't know, too obvious.
Yeah.
Ah, God. I don't know how to what to say there. Maybe yeah, I don't know. Like, give me an example. You go first.
Star Wars. Star Wars is not on my list. The Force Awakens, really good movie. I saw it twice, but it's too obvious. And I'm too close to the subject matter. I have paraphernalia in my room, and I have the original trilogy on DVD. And, we obviously had like 3 episodes just about Star Wars, and on 2 cents, like every week leading up to it, and a couple of weeks after, and even tomorrow's episode, we talk about it, and we're already talking about Adam Driver and all this stuff. It's too hard for me to look at it objectively. And so I like the series so much that I would feel putting it on my top 10 list wouldn't be fair. And also, I wouldn't know how to place it.
Um, it's funny because when you mentioned that, like, I wasn't sure what to say, but that was the first title that came to mind for that reason. But at the same time, well, we'll get to that. I will have a response there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm,
Um,
I'm also leaving off Inside Out because it's a good Pixar movie, but I got a better one. So let me start off with my number 10 pick.
Well, wait, hold on. I just want to say this clear.
Uh-huh.
There's things that we have not seen, so there. Like, I don't. I have not
This is
seen
true.
Danish Girl.
I have not seen.
I have not
I
seen
have seen that. I
45
have not
years.
seen. Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
seen 45 years. I haven't
I
seen
have not seen.
Carol.
Yeah, I haven't seen Victoria or Grandma.
You
So
fucking didn't see Victoria, man.
no, I was
I
busy. I'm
no, I
sorry.
told you to watch this. I
I
don't
know.
feel like
Hey,
stopping right now. We'll just cut it right here.
no, no.
We'll make
It's
another episode in 2 hours.
no, don't, no. We're on too much of a roll here. I will not.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on.
Okay. Well, anyway, obvious
Also, yeah,
picks
but
that I
yeah.
left off.
Point is though, yeah. There's things we can't see everything, even if we try.
I
But
tried.
I mean, this is for me. This is the list that I would call my 10 favorites, not necessarily best of. And I know there's going to be some controversial picks on here, but if
Good.
you're not happy with them, I'd love to get a response back and get some hate mail.
His
Why?
Twitter
Or yeah,
handle is at
S
it's
underscore
S
MTX.
underscore MTX. Send him some hate. Send me some hate. It's
Hell yeah.
BRYONGILLIS. So my number 10 pick, like I said, Inside Out didn't make the cut because there's a better one on my list. Number 10 is The Good Dinosaur.
Okay, now take a walk out there.
By myself?
Go on. Calm down. Breathe. Sometimes you gotta get through your fear to see the beauty on the other side.
Before the show, this is one of the ones where I was like, should I put it on there? Should I not? I took off Steve Jobs to put this movie in. I also took off The Martian to put this in. It's not better than Inside Out. Like, that has a better story for kids. Like, it's a funnier movie. It has a more important message for a younger audience. But there's just something about The Good Dinosaur. Like, after those first 15 minutes, I got so invested in these characters, and I got so emotional throughout their journey, especially towards the end, that I just knew that I loved it. Like, it's a really great movie that sadly isn't making enough money, and I just really wish that more people see it, and hopefully it being on my list helps that out. What's your number 10?
Well, yeah, I'm happy to hear actually that it's on your. I didn't expect you to put it on there at all, but I'm really happy that you're giving it some love. Makes me feel pretty bad now about my number 10.
You're not.
This was a pretty tough spot to fill. I mean, there's quite a few movies that wrestled for this spot. Like if we were not a podcast named after RoboCop, like if we were named after Spinal Tap or something, then I think I could have done a top 11, and one of those movies that would have probably, at this point, would have rested comfortably in the number 11 spot would be Anomalisa. And I feel bad because even it would have been at 11. I didn't mention in my honorable mentions, but it's basically one of them. Even after we reviewed that movie, it's definitely a film that stayed with me for the week, and that's how great it is. And it's a shame that's not getting enough exposure. So,
got nominated for best animated movie, so that's a little bit.
I mean, that is one thing, but because I regard it that highly, and that it's not in my top 10, I'm sure destroys the merit of most of the picks that I'm going to put on this list, because there's definitely going to be some that are going to seem undeserved. But ultimately, I decided to let it sit comfortably in number 11. So yeah, and part of that,
I wish I could have cheated now.
Well, part of the reason I made this decision was because I'm sure that you are going to give it some love. So instead, I decided to get a bit more love to David O. Russell's Joy.
Fuck you.
Because it deserves it. I really love this movie. I think it's a great underdog story. It's able to be both funny and miserable at the same time. I love how chaotic and fast it moves. I really felt Joy struggles.
About the soap opera stuff.
Constantly moving against her, and at every turn when it seems like it's over, she won't accept the solution. I mean, honestly, some of just my favorite acted scenes this year are in this movie.
What about the soap opera stuff?
I thought it was kind of funny for weird reasons. It's definitely something that's weird there, but I did like it overall. I
wouldn't say this movie's not getting love. It got nominated at the Golden Globes. Jennifer Lawrence won for Best Actress in a Comedy. She's got nominated for the same award at the Oscars.
But it feels like that that movie that's getting more pity love, as opposed to like genuine love. It's that thing where people are like, oh well, yeah, it's Jennifer Lawrence and David O. Russell and blah blah. You critics love them and whatever. Just give them that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one of my favorite acted movies. Like, there's a scene, I'm not going to say what it is, but just where her family is telling her how she screwed up, and she just sits there quietly. I think that scene, it stays with me probably just as much as everything else in Anomalisa. I don't know if it's because it's something that I just strongly relate to, but
where it's humans instead of puppets.
I mean, well, it's just a scene where I can really relate to, where you're being told that you screwed up even after you're following the guidance of others, and you just kind of sit there quietly as everyone is judging you, and you're not going to say anything back.
I'm not sure anyone listening to our top 10 list is going to be convinced to watch Joy, no matter what you say about it. It's one of those movies for sure, when you saw the trailer, you either wanted to see it or you aren't going to.
I do think that trailer's actually, or the teaser, it's a pretty good depiction of the mood of the movie is. And it's very much a movie that's on the surface, but the way that it's told, the way it moves, and the bumps along the way, that's what made it stand out for me, just from the average success stories. It's also one of the better audience experience that I've had this year. Everyone was laughing in the right spots and clapping when the credits began. There's such a great energy to this that I cannot see why it isn't hitting as many people. Especially when I myself had a great experience watching it, but I guess that can't be the same thing for everybody.
Sure. Well, my number 9 was Spotlight.
Why are we hesitating? Barron told us to get law. This is law. Barron told us to get the system. We need the full scope. That's the only thing that will put an end to this. Then let's take it up to Ben, let him decide.
We'll take it to Ben when I say it's time.
It's time, Robbie! It's time! They knew, and they let it happen. 2 kids! Okay? It could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been any of us. We gotta nail these scumbags. We gotta show people that nobody can get away with this. Not a priest or a cardinal or a freaking pope.
We talked about this last night. It's not an amazing movie, but it does everything just right. Like there isn't a fault to it. It moves at a breakneck speed. It's a story that you're already invested in, and finding out how it happened, the investigative side of this important story. Plus the ensemble is great. Michael Keaton, Mark Ruffalo, Rachel McAdams. Like they're all good. All the priests, all the people that work in the courts and all of that. I almost left off not Paul Giamatti, but the lawyer. Bald guy. Tucci, yes, thank you. Like he's great. Like everyone's great in this movie. Like it's a great performance by everyone. The story's great. It just moves really well, even though you're learning so much so fast. And I just had to put it on my list because it was really good. It was your number 9.
I have talked at length about this and why I love this movie, and I don't think there really is that much else to say. The Good Dinosaur, which, like
I already
Joy,
said it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Joy, it's all on the surface, and even though it's a familiar story, it's really the way that it's told that I responded to. I like that this is more of a classic Disney film instead of a high-concept Pixar movie. I know that's probably why people like criticizing it, or not why they like to, but just why they aren't responding positively.
Well, I'm sure there are people out there that like criticizing it.
I love the look. I love the mood, the general aesthetic. But, the most important thing, as with any movie, is I love these characters. I love the, not, aesthetically, again, I love the designs of the dinosaurs and how they move and interact. But I love this kid's journey. The kid that plays Arlo, seriously, one of the better voice actors I've heard that's been able to play a kid that's a normal kid instead of a cartoon kid who's just one of the smartest people in that cartoon world. Like, God, I don't even have his name here, and I should have mentioned it when we talked about performances, because this is one of the ones that I think is the better ones. It wouldn't be recognized, but it's such a good performance.
It's like I was saying, though, when I reviewed it, a couple of days ago, or last week it was, I believe. Usually when an animated feature comes out, before it even comes out, like look at the World of Pets or anything, that the Zootopia, like the first thing you get is, this is who's in it.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you anything about it, but this is who's in it. And this one is not that. Like, yeah, it has Steve Zahn in it, and it has, like, a couple other people.
Well, Pixar doesn't usually highlight
They do, though.
Like...
They totally do. Like,
no,
on their big movies, anyway.
No, like, okay, Up, it was never pushing, Ed Asner. And
well, that
and
one
who
didn't
else
have it,
is in that
but look
movie?
at Monsters, Inc. or Toy Story or A Bug's Life.
Okay, WALL-E didn't push anybody. Ratatouille never even
Well,
mentioned Patton Oswalt. Most
that
people
one's
didn't
silent
even know who he was.
for a long time. That one's most silent. Maybe
yeah,
I'm not thinking,
Incredibles
maybe
is
not
pushing
Pixar,
anybody. Yeah,
but
DreamWorks is the one
totally
that
does
pimps out the celebrities.
Yeah, DreamWorks does it. Fox does it with Sky Blue Sky. Like they do it, and Peanuts in the same category. Like all the kids in that movie are really great too. Mm-hmm. It's just there's something about the Good Dinosaur and Arlo.
Well, Peanuts also has the benefit of nostalgia. Like you don't have to push in a celebrity voice. You sell the characters because people know who they are.
This is true, but even Spot in the Good Dinosaur, who doesn't have a line of dialogue, still acted really well. Like it's hard to do.
It's really credit to the animators because they are. It's just that physical performance that is. It's been said many times, and no one can ever disagree with this point. If you do, you're stupid. But yeah, animators, like I'm really envious of what they do because I can't draw. Like I love animation.
That's why we went
so
to film,
much because of what they do. Yeah. But fuck are the animated performances in this so good. The humor.
We've already said enough about it.
I know it's something that's polarized people, and in the end, this was an animated film. Like that. Well, the humor is right up my alley. But yeah, this had the strongest emotional resonance. I think of all the animated films this year. There's just too many powerful moments where these characters communicate just with gestures and expression, no dialogue. It's so well done that I don't see how
Shaun the Sheep does that really well
resonate
too.
with a bigger audience. But Shaun the Sheep is done, for a laugh.
That is
a bit more
value,
slapstick. that's more along the lines of Buster Keaton, and that's still very effective. But this is hitting like a far deeper emotional center. Like, you know, by design, it's meant to make you cry. Like, I mean, and a kid in my theater the first time did cry out loud near the end, not because he was being annoying.
I probably would have as a kid.
Yeah, because of the scene, and they just wouldn't shut the fuck up. And you know, that's probably why I had to see it the second time to let it sink in, so I could appreciate it more, because I was taken out of the moment again. But even the second time, another kid fucking cried out loud and wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Like,
for such
I'm pretty sure there
an
were
emotional
adults
moment.
crying during Inside Out in my theater.
Yeah,
So like, that's the power of each movie. Like, you know, they do have they have their pulse on what emotions work. Less so Inside Out, because that's all about emotions and they kind of beat you over the head with it. But this movie's just really subtle and really smart, and it really is a lost art form, especially in animation. Yeah,
I know everyone loves Inside Out, and you know, I get it. Like, creatively, script wise, it's much more interesting, and it is the lighter kids film. You know, it's got brighter, colorful colors and is less dark. It's really good, but it still left me emotional cold, because it does. I did see this really cool interview with Don Bluth, where he's pimping out the Dragon's Lair movie that he just got crowdfunded for, where every time I try to articulate what my problem is, I feel like an idiot, because he put it great in 2 seconds. And it's just that, okay, it's a little girl that is not making her own decisions. She's just leaving it up to gremlins in her head. And I heard that, I'm like, well, thank you. That's exactly it. Like, you know, there's a moment in that movie where she's about to slide down a pole, and then she's like, oh, should I do it? No, I'm not going to do it. Yes, I'm going to do it. But in the movie, it's because someone's pushing a button, and then someone else pushes a button. I'm just like, it's tough for me to connect with that. But it's a movie that's about the message that I respect.
Well,
but
also that
leave me connected with.
And remember that even adults in their world only have the 5 emotions controlling their bodies. Well, where's lust? Where's betrayal? You know,
you gotta make
Yeah,
creative decisions,
of course you do, but it's weird to think that both men and women and boys and girls have the same exact pilots in their brain. Like, you're talking about a tween here. Like, why not? And they kind of do that thing. I remember there's like the joke where it's like, you know, her dream boyfriend and all that stuff. But how does that work with whatever? It doesn't matter. We're not even talking about this movie anymore, because it's not on either of our lists.
But the theme here, just as much resonance, if not more so. I think maybe it's because it's darker that it resonates with me more. I mean, and this is definitely, you know, this is much darker, and it's something that I would have been more into as a kid. And I know, like, when I look back at some of the stuff I love, you know, the very popular stuff like Lion King, that has dark elements, but I've always loved things that are a little bit darker and more intense, because probably, I don't know, it felt more honest to me, and it made me feel a bit more adult, and like it wasn't talking down to me. And I definitely responded to the stuff like that much strongly, and I think that's why I responded to this so strongly, even if it's not perfect. You know, I do think it's a bit unfairly criticized, as it's being held up to what Pixar has done in the past, and by doing that, it's not getting credit for what the movie itself is doing on its own terms. I think I've said pretty much everything I could.
You've said more than enough, because you've already talked. Yeah, you've talked about this now 4 times, and
this
both
is the
of
last
your individual
time.
reviews.
Yeah, this is the last
in the
time
review
I
where I watched it, and now
it's my type of movie. It's one of those movies where
obviously it's my type of movie too, because I
I'm
put it
having
as
a
my
bad
number
day
10.
and I want nice light entertainment to make me feel better. I'll pop it in. It's my kind of entertainment. It might be dark, but so was a ton of stuff that I grew up with when I was a kid. I'm sure, like, you saw a ton of dark. We grew up in the fucking 90s. Like, there's dark stuff. Kids can handle dark, and I hope that if they end up watching this, that they enjoy it. And that's all I'm gonna say about it in the future.
Let's try to not make the rest of these also 10 minutes long, because they don't have the time for it. Thanks for listening through that. My number 8 is Tangerine. It's that movie shot on the iPhone that's on Netflix currently, about a couple of transgender prostitutes going through LA. You might have heard of it. There was a big push for it to get Oscar nominations. It didn't happen. Really smart movie, really fun girlfriend flick, really beautiful for being shot on a smartphone. It's just special. You know, I talked about The Danish Girl last night, and you know that's important because it's the first story of its kind, basically. Not that it's not the film itself, but the actual story on hand. Whereas this is special because it is actually the first story of its time. It is just about being trans in the world and what that's like, and not trying to beat you over with the head with some kind of moral. This is just people living out their day, and you're on the ride with them through Christmas Eve. And it had to be on my list because it's on no one else's. What's your number 8?
I feel bad now because I think I should have put that on my honorable mentions. And like, it's funny you mentioned
Yeah, go
that.
fuck
I'm
yourself.
back to thinking of more performances to add. James Ransone in this movie, like, yeah, just fucking steals that third act, dude. I love. I think I've already talked about that. Okay, what are we at? Number 8.
Yeah, number 8.
Yeah. Bridge of Spies.
How did we do in there? Not too good. Apparently you're not an American citizen. That's true. And according to your boss, you're not a Soviet citizen either.
Well, the boss isn't always right, but he's always the boss.
Do you never worry?
Would it help?
I'd say it's been like 10 years since we had a great Spielberg flick.
I love The Terminal, so yeah, 10 years.
I was gonna say Munich. I know
That one's not for me, but we can disagree on that.
that is a brilliant film.
So
Nothing
Terminal.
wrong with the stuff in between. I enjoyed Tintin.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get crucified here, but I think Crystal Skull is better than many people give it credit for. But
You
know,
can
the
agree it's
moment,
the worst Indiana Jones movie, though, right?
yeah, it's the worst one, but it's not a horrible film. I think
Episode 1 of Star Wars isn't a bad film, but it's the
better
worst
than
one.
Episode 1, I think too.
Oh,
Yeah. I think Crystal Skull's better.
No.
No. I think that Crystal
I
Skull
like
is a
Shia
fun,
LaBeouf. The
it's a
idea
fun
that that's
reunion
Indy's son,
movie.
plus the fucking the beginning with the fridge surviving the atomic bomb, like
I
it,
think that's okay. That's the big thing. But
the
honestly,
aliens. It's all
if your
about aliens, man.
If your
Like,
criticism is aliens, this is a movie where people opened a fucking chest from God and their faces.
see, that's the
melted.
difference.
Come on,
Indiana Jones was rooted in religious iconographic
that was the
physical
big
items.
thing
You
in
got
1930s serials, and this is more
Well,
like 50s
even still,
B
look,
movies.
okay, look.
I can buy into the ridiculous aspects of Crystal Skull because, they had just as much ridiculous shit. It's not like you have to be bound to one thing.
it's an alien,
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
and they look
I'm
bad.
absolutely fine with that.
They look bad. That's the worst part.
No, they don't look bad. They're clearly digital, but they don't look bad. The effects are decent. I think that the chase scene is
Anyway.
maybe a bit more clunky.
Bridge
but,
of Spies.
Okay. Anyway. Okay.
Number
Bridge of
number
Spies.
8 pick.
Bridge of Spies.
Spielberg's best movie in 10 years.
The moment that this movie opens, there's how do I say it? There's a feeling that returned for me, I guess. It wasn't really. Like I said, it wasn't really since Munich where I've seen a Spielberg film that I would consider to be masterful. Like, that movie just had an amazing opening, just some incredible blocking. And here, Bridge of Spies just does something even better than that. Just the way that the camera moves, the way the extras walk through the take as the agents are shadowing the spy. It's so confident in how it's done. It's just so simply done. Like,
It makes you feel like it's easy.
He makes it look so fucking easy.
Yeah.
Like, that I don't see how any aspiring filmmaker cannot be envious of that. It's not like he's doing this stuff just to show off, like how other people would like to do that. Like, I can do a single take. Look, it's great because it's that. It's like, but no,
Spielberg does it
there's
because
such a perfect
it makes
sense
sense in the
of what
scene.
the scene needs to be, and how
Yeah.
he knows how to entertain people and keep them engaged. And like, everything in this movie is basically performance driven. He's very restrained aesthetically. Not just Tom Hanks and Mark Rylance, but everyone plays against each other so well. They're all fascinating to watch. Even the stuff with the pilots, it's not the best stuff in the movie, but those scenes in their own right are very interesting and compelling. The writing here, which I know, I think it's unfair to credit the Coen brothers solely because I know there's another writer, but I don't have their name on hand. But they had a hand in the script, and it's fun. There's a lot of great, quick-witted jabs here that you can just definitely feel their hand in there. The little things in this that are written is, that just make the process more challenging for Tom Hanks, whether it's just the weather or bullshit government policies, just the little infuriating details that keep him from doing what he needs to do, just makes him more compelling as a character as he's slugging through his shit. Like, you're probably gonna disagree when I say this. I don't know. This is kind of a half-baked thought right now, I guess, but it's kind of like Joy for me in that regard for different reasons.
No, because Joy's not on my list.
But
It's not
overall,
like Joy.
this is a great movie about remaining true to your principles instead of giving to fear. Especially today, whether it be surveillance or gun control or immigration, it's very relevant. It's a very important movie about America that, even though it's hard, we have to honor our principles instead of giving into fear. And, if we all aspired to be Standing Man, then maybe the world would be a better place.
Ruined a little bit of the movie.
I wish I remembered what it was in Russian, but yeah, that line "Standing Man" has stayed with me since I saw this movie. But Bridge of Spies is a great movie.
Another great movie, number 7, The Big Short.
Nobody's buying CDO or mortgage bonds anymore, and everybody wants
swaps. Swaps are now the most popular product on the street.
That's good for us.
Yes and no.
I heard from somebody who heard from somebody. No, Alex. No. Sorry. Benny Klieger over at
Morgan is taking out some heavy losses in the bond department. Might be time to get a life jacket and get out.
I mean, seriously, I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I'm jacked.
I'm jacked to the tits!
Good.
Do you feel it?
No.
It's good to see that the Academy is recognizing this for a lot of things. It deserves its praise. I talked about this last night. I'll just kind of reiterate some of my things. I'm sure this is going to be on your list too, so you might do it as well. Just really spectacular film. All the performances, the way it tries to take this really convoluted content that you're not supposed to understand and break it down in a way that you almost do. Just powerful, especially from a director that's known for his comedic work. And this is a funny movie, but its subject matter is very serious and something that you need to know and you have to understand, or at least pretend to. They have this really smart thing towards the beginning of the movie. It's like, oh yeah, so the financial crisis, I'm sure you have a sound bite that you have memorized to try to sound smart. It's like, yeah, everyone kind of does. And this movie, if people have seen it, can open up the conversation about what actually happened in a greater capacity. And so it is probably the most important film of the year, even though, this is 8 years too late, to just understand where we are now and why we have to not go back. Those and many more reasons is why it's my number 7, even though Ryan Gosling is not that great in it. What's your 7th pick?
I'll talk about that one later. Episode 7, The Force Awakens,
Trying to be cute?
Purely coincidence, honestly.
Bullshit.
I did not plan for it to be that way. I really didn't. I feel like I gotta say a bit more, especially after how you said that this was the one that you'd feel bad putting it on your list. Like you got a bias.
Yeah.
What do you say about the most popular movie of all time? The biggest domestic hit of all time. What do you say about it that justifies it having a place as being one of the best films of the year? For the love of God, this is Star Wars.
Well, I mean, Star Wars could have easily, the original Star Wars could have won Best Picture. It was up against Annie Hall, and Annie Hall won. Okay, Annie Hall's a great movie, but Star Wars is more important.
It's where Star Wars is now, and we know that this is like something that people will go crazy for this property. And that even now, it may not be the best time to judge this film's quality. Maybe this could be another Phantom Menace where it's a placebo effect. Like fans were convinced that the movie would be great, and it took them many rewatches later to see that this wasn't perfect.
I felt we already did the Mary Sue argument, not on air, but we've talked about this. So there are problems with the film, but
let me respond to this.
I think the film's so strong that you can overlook those.
I'm fairly confident for me that this is a great movie regardless of this franchise's name. Why I had to think about this and why I picked this. For me, this is a great J.J. Abrams movie who, as far as I'm concerned, is a great entertainer. And I think I like the Star Trek reboot better, probably because this is just a bit more slavish to what came before it, and there's a bit more free reign there. But J.J. Abrams, I mean, he's really one of the few blockbuster filmmakers that has fun with the medium, and I really think that's important. And it's always the little things that he does to enhance the world building, whether it's seeing Rey cooking bread or just BB-8 giving a thumbs up, stormtroopers quietly turning around and going the other way when Kylo Ren loses his shit. It's just those little details that enhance the simplest moment, and it's things like that I just love seeing from him as a filmmaker. You know, you can find that in all of his stuff. And I mean, there's so many great characters here. You know, I already mentioned BB-8, and I know that Ray is being as a weak character is just a hot topic right now. But I really think there's a lot of intrigue there, and I don't think
we'll find out in
honestly,
2 years.
I still get the sense that I'm more curious to see how her storyline is going to pay off. I do get a sense from the way it's performed that there is more there than what we already know.
Let's hope.
John Boyega's having a blast. Domhnall Gleeson has his Third Reich speech moment, and it's awesome. You know, I mean, this is the first Star Wars film in a new series, and I think, you know, since that is the case, it's the same thing with Star Wars and with Phantom Menace. You know, it's a really fun adventure movie that sets up what I hope is a grander story. I can't wait to see what Rian Johnson does. That's my number 7. You know, I hope that I've defended it, you know, as being deserving on this list, because I really do think,
like I said,
it's easier to just push it out.
The
for
reason
just being a big movie.
I made that category is because it probably would have been on my list, and I wanted an excuse not to put it on there. And I think most people that are film fans and not snobs would probably put it on their list too, because it's something that we've all grown up with.
But
or at least have over the recent past.
Franchise.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely does. That's what I'm saying. Like, it is
filmmaking,
a good
form.
movie. I saw it twice for a reason, you know, and I could definitely see it.
Again.
Yeah, I could definitely go see it a third time in IMAX, as I've already done 2D. I did 3D, and IMAX would be fun too. My number 6 is Bridge of Spies. So I don't have much more to add than Steve did. I've already talked about this. You can listen to our reviews. I just like the way the story was built, the parallel structure. It's like something happens in the beginning, something happens at the end, something happens in the middle, it's going to happen again. Like, it had great bookends. It had just a great circular way of storytelling. Like, everything came together. There wasn't extra fat. There weren't characters that didn't need to be there. Everything had its place. It's like, I got my jacket stolen. Okay, you're going to be nice to me. Let's get drunk. Like, everything that happened was thought out. Like, it's very... not just a great movie because it's important, like Steve already said, just it's masterful filmmaking, not just from a directing standpoint, because yes, it is Spielberg's best movie in 10 years. You could say Munich. I already said The Terminal. I love that film.
That is so fucking cheesy. I think that's
even
his Frank Capra film.
Even still, you could say
work.
Catch Me If You Can. Okay, that was only like a year before that. You know, like whatever. I'm just
okay,
saying,
yeah,
like
it's
masterful filmmaking. Like, you know, he directs it
some
so
of his
well
best filmmaking in years,
in an effortless way. But there's like the use of walls in this movie, or fences, and like the final scene of this movie. Like, there's just so much power in things that you would take for granted that you almost can't write. Like, it has to be done with a camera or with a performance. And there's so much here that it's just a very special experience to watch this movie. And, you know, if you haven't seen it and you missed it in theaters, because it is sadly gone now, definitely rent this one. Like, I'd buy it for $1 easily. And it's just a really, really good Spielberg movie. And hopefully the BFG can climb on the success. And more importantly, in my case, Ready Player One, which could just be spectacular. What's your number 6 pick?
Number 6 is The Revenant.
It's not on my list.
Yeah, I know.
I know why you love this. You love camera work.
Okay, no.
I've seen some of yours. No, I'm not saying that's the only reason, but I'm saying I've seen the stuff that you've shot, and you have a great eye for cinematography, and you think about film in that way, and just thinking about it that way, I can definitely respect your pick, and a lot of other people could too, because it's making a lot of money. It's got all these nominations. It's a good movie. It's just not my kind of movie.
Well,
because it is.
I'll take that. I mean, you know, the camera work is great, but it is visual storytelling. I mean, you know, it's not just great camwer work for the sake of it.
I didn't mean
this is
the
best
way that the
me.
camera is used. I'm saying what it captures.
I just got it. I just got it. I'm glad you started talking, because I was going to pause for a while, struggling to think of how to start this, but this is the most sensory film-going experience of the year for me. Does that make sense? Because I think that's the best way for me to describe it. It's just a simple revenge story, but, you know, I don't think it's as thin as others claim. Like, you know, it does center around a hate crime, and, you know, so you can't really say that it's irrelevant. I mean, especially with all the shit that's been happening in the past year. But
Dope is more relevant.
Yeah, but focusing on the movie, though, this is a visceral experience, and I don't think the simplicity of that makes it weak. In fact, I hate it when I read about that spectacles are being weak cinema, or because they're not as thematically packed as smaller, more intimate stories. I think that's bullshit.
Well, you can go see The Hateful Eight because it tries to do that.
Yeah, but it's stupid to criticize movies for not being that. Yeah, I think visceral thrills are just as important to cinema. That is a part of the reason why I have no problem saying Star Wars 7 is a great movie and deserves to have a spot on here beyond just being popular entertainment that you're going to shit on just for the sake of it being popular entertainment. I'm not saying you, but just people.
Great directing. We already know this. Birdman was last year. Lubezki, same story.
Yeah.
I mean, the cast is good here, but outside of this visceral nature, how beautiful the film is, and the fact that it's out of nature and just the scope of its production, all of the stuff on camera, that visceral stuff, outside of that, do you really think it's that good of a movie?
This is an epic ride, dude. Like it was tense. It was relentless.
I thought Sicario was more tense.
Nature is a bitch. What do you want me to tell you?
No,
Sicario. That's different reason. But this is also truly a great performance from Leo. Like it's physically demanding, and it's fascinating to watch him. And he has very little dialogue. And it's really his desperation and struggle that just comes through his gestures and his eyes, just his desperation for vengeance, like in every move that shines through. And I think that absolutely deserves a win. I think it's above just being a give me a fucking trophy performance. He's got my vote for the best actor category.
You were kind of shitting on The Danish Girl last night, and also Carol and a couple other movies, for being an Oscar porn. There's nothing wrong with that saying, but I think this movie is just as deserving of that title.
I don't get that sense.
Let's get the guy that won Best Director last year, Best Cinematography 2 years in a row.
Carol, I'm sure Carol resonates with people for good reasons. And even The Danish Girl, I think I am going to see it over the week just to get it done with.
I think you should.
But it's such a desperate, miserable role, and I don't think he ever overplays it. Like, the environment, like
Tom Hardy,
just the harshness of it and the authenticity, really, it's really punishing, and you feel that on him. And past that, even Tom Hardy is great at being an asshole. Someone that no one is talking about, though, the kid
from alongside,
Will Poulter, alongside him. Just
he's really good.
His performance is greater. Yeah, just the way that he's conflicted and unsure about necessarily doing the right thing.
And he
knows, like, to some degree he's being manipulated, but at the same time, Tom Hardy makes a very convincing argument, especially in that situation. Yet, and he's really wrestling internally with what to do, and I think he really does a great job and is not getting enough credit where it's due. I've spoken at length about how this is the most beautiful looking movie of the year, and I'm sure Lubezki could get a third win. Actually,
I hope he does.
I don't know. It's probably going to be Deakins, I think. That'll be a sympathy vote. The score got fucking snubbed, dude. It's such a good score.
I don't even remember.
So good.
I kind of do, but I don't.
I don't know if it got nominated, actually, but Jack Fisk's production
design. It got nominated for like 11 things. So
yeah, I mean, just the look of those cabins, too, like, when they're not out in the wilderness. I just love the world that is built in front of the screen. This is one of the most viscerally exciting movies of the year. If it wins Best Pictures, I couldn't argue with that. I think it would be a good pick. I'd be fine with that.
My number 5 pick. I know it's technically not on your list. It's your number 11, and I'm Elisa.
Anyway, yes, don't forget to smile. Makes a person's day. What does it cost you? Smile's free. It's not working. The world is falling apart. The president is a war criminal. Boo! America is going down the tubes, and you're talking about goddamn intelligent design. They've intentionally destroyed the public education system because it's easier to manipulate dumb workers and soldiers.
There's no need for that. Support our troops.
So good. It should have been nominated for Best Picture. I hope it wins Best Animated Feature, because in terms of being an animation property, like a film like based in that medium, just astounding, the stuff that they do here with stop motion. We've talked about this before, but just everything about it, the music, the girls just want to have fun singing by Jennifer Jason Leigh, the Tom Noonan stuff, like how it creates this world. In our review, I was a little meaner about the characterization, especially of Michael in it, but I've come to kind of accept that stuff and just see it as more of a criticism of the romantic comedy, or like a
interesting.
not a criticism, but like it's Charlie Kaufman, and look at his popular films like Eternal Sunshine.
I think that might be the most accessible.
Yeah,
one,
because even still, like that's the same way. Like it is a romantic dramedy, but yet by the way that of its creation, it is a critique of the genre and just like love in general. And this is the same. It's just
okay. Well, number 5 is a tie.
You can't do a fucking tie unless your 4 and your 5 are both technically number 5.
Here's
no. You already have a 11th film. You can't put 13 on your list because you heard me struggle to make a 10. You know how much I would have liked to put Steve Jobs as number 11.
I'm sort of cheating here.
You can't cheat. Pick one right now.
Okay. Let me get on. 5 is The Big Short.
Okay.
And I have no problem calling this movie, the movie that's smarter than I am. I think that's the best way that I put it. It's loaded with so much information that, by the subject matter itself, by design, is meant to confuse people. So this is a case where even though the movie gets convoluted, it's warranted. Not everyone will be able to keep up, but the movie knows that it's a subject matter that's intriguing.
Yeah, they heard me say this.
Huh?
I said they heard me say this.
Oh, well, you talked about it. Now I'm talking about it. It's informative.
It's a tie.
I wouldn't ever confidently say though that this is the definitive text to be educated on the subject. But because it's a movie. But even then, it's enlightening enough that you'll at least think about it. Other than that, though, it is aesthetically pleasing. Like, it's really refreshing how it's structured. All thanks to Adam McKay. Just in the hands of any other director, it could have just ended up being standard. Yeah. Just the little things like bringing in celebrities to explain very complicated concepts, but even these characters on their own are fascinating. I think whether you got Michael Burry, being an oddball, or Steve Carell being an asshole, just all these guys, are colorful characters that are fascinating to watch. They all got goals and personal baggage, and you're invested in them, and yet they're betting for the collapse of the economy so that they can profit off everyone else's loss. What a bunch of nice guys, right? But seriously, though, the movie is so good.
You're gonna get to how this is a tie.
Hmm?
You're gonna get to how this is a tie.
I will when I'm done with this. I never thought I would describe a movie about the financial crisis as rewatchable. It's rewatchable for the details on the subject, for the aesthetics, and for the characters. I mean, this movie's fucking fantastic. Like, I know that you personally, you're expecting it to win the Oscar. I have no idea if it will.
I think it will.
There's too many good movies. But here's what you want to hear. Moving on from the guys that are profiting on the financial collapse to the victims themselves. The tie here is
99 Homes.
Yeah. Honestly, it's probably not really a tie. It's probably
so
more
does
along
that
the
mean
lines of
it's your number 4?
No. It's tied with 5.
So honestly, you're doing
this is probably number 12, but I'm pairing these together because honestly, I need
in the way that I
than just an honorable mention to talk about this.
What's too big to fail?
I need more than an honorable mention. This is a great movie that no one is talking about. It's really, really great.
This is directed by the guy that did Pushcart Man, and what was the other one he did? He's in Life Itself. I can't remember the name of the director, but it's. I could find it right now, but he's in Life Itself. Like he does, apparently Roger Ebert, he wrote a review for his first film, and it launched his career, and so you don't remember his role in that documentary?
No, I don't. But I forget his
name
too. But what this is about Andrew Garfield.
It's Ramin Bahrani.
Okay, yeah. Andrew Garfield gets evicted from his house with his family, and he's desperate to buy back his home. So he gets a job offer from Michael Shannon to basically evict others. This also presents a broken system where these people, even, as they're getting kicked out and they're trying to get their homes back, they have no way of winning, even if they're doing exactly what they're required to do. The performances are great all around. The eviction scenes are so fucking difficult to watch. They're so powerful that they really made me feel nauseous. I'm cheating here probably by bringing it back, but seriously, more people need to see this movie. Like, it's getting grossly overlooked, and that's really a shame. I mean, this is the one I should have mentioned when you asked me, what's the most overlooked movie? and I already had it here as the tie ready to talk about it. I feel like I need.
Yeah, you just
more
wanted to be
than
a
an
cunt.
honorable
We got
mention
it.
to. I feel like I need more than honorable mention to talk about this.
Well,
and just say,
I wish I had 12 picks
it's
too.
It's so close. Well, I love movies so much, man. You know, it's tough to condense. I think, you know, you still got to get to sleeping with other people and other stuff. But yeah, track this down if you can, man. I think for everybody else, it's already on Redbox. I don't think this had a major distributor, so it's probably
on Netflix.
It'll probably hit Netflix at some point. Really, such a difficult movie to watch, man. Like it really hurt. Watching.
Let me move to a film that's not difficult to watch. Our biggest review of all time. My number 4 pick is Magic Mike XXL.
I got a little treat for y'all tonight. It's a man I knew as white chocolate. Some might know him as Magic Mike. We're gonna see if he's still got some magic in that mic. You down for a little fun tonight? All right. Have a seat. Mike.
Come on, let's not do this.
It is my favorite movie of the year. It's not the best, but it is my favorite. I can't wait to see it in a month or so when it hits HBO. Everyone needs to see this movie. It is amazing. It is a blast. It's a romp. It's a road trip movie. It's just really, really fun. If for no other reason, just watch it so you can enjoy a review of it.
Which I still don't remember.
It doesn't do 1,200 listens, or no. It's like 1,600 listens. Okay, you should hear it.
Oh my god.
It's a special movie. Like you had a horrible day, you're feeling like shit. Put this in. You'll not only have multiple smiles on your face, but you'll probably be horny by the end of it too. But the final 25 minutes of this movie are better than any 25 minutes of anything this year, probably. Like just an amazing amount of jokes and dancing and just comedy and Trent Reznor music. Just so good and such a great cast, and nothing happens to their characters and you still don't give a shit because it's that much fun. Like my criticism for Sicario last night was that, you know, it's beautiful, it's intense, it's gripping, it's all this stuff.
I can't believe you're comparing it
but
to this right
the characters are flat and nothing happens to them, and that character development was what makes it bad. The difference is, in Sicario, it's a very dramatic movie about a topic that you should care about, you know, cartels and what that's doing in Mexico, not just there, but also here.
There is development there. There is an arc. I mean, there is, you know, the character.
There's a little bit,
does change. Yeah, that is the definition of an arc.
One character among like 6. The same thing here.
She comes out different.
That's not true, actually. There is character development here, because in Magic Mike, they decide to change there's this great scene, like 40 minutes in, where they talk about, and at the time, I remember in their view, like, in terms of the film, they're talking about conventions of the male stripper and what songs you're allowed to dance to and what outfits, and, you know, you have these archetypal characters that you have to strip as, and they talk about becoming your own and making it your own and becoming the person you want to be. And so it's not just a powerful message about writing something, but also, like, living your life, especially if you're, you know, in the sex industry. But yeah, just Channing Tatum, not his best performance. That probably goes to Foxcatcher last year, but so damn good. It's obviously a passion project. The only probably downsides of this film are the lighting and the way it's filmed doesn't necessarily match the tone. But outside of that, and you can blame Soderbergh for that, but outside of that one complaint, seriously, I think you said 99 Homes is something everyone has to see. No, this is the one. Like
this is the worst segue
this is
ever, dude.
Such a special movie. It's a stocking stuffer. Maybe that's Big Dick Ricky stocking it for you, or stuffing rather. But I can't say enough about this movie. I've already seen it 3 times in theaters. I'll have to see it again when it hits HBO. Okay, you're number 4.
Mad Max Fury Road.
You didn't make your top 3?
Yeah, no.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
By the way,
you know
our first review was for this movie. I wrote this great written review for this. It's not something I really do anymore. You should check it out. Maybe I'll link it on Twitter. But yeah, we had a really great review, and I had notes and notes and notes of things that we talked about, and Steve just screwed the pooch.
I think I was horrible in that review, honestly. I think, I mean, what I think it was is like I picked like each individual element and tried to like explain how great it is.
It's not what you do.
I think what makes this movie great is that, it's not that those little moments are great, it's that they're good. The allegory is good. The action is good. Charlize Theron is good. I don't think there's one single thing here that's amazing on its own, but it's like Star Wars. It's that combination of everything working together to create this thing that makes it so fucking good.
I mean, the difference between Star Wars and this, though, is that, Star Wars was bought for $4 billion by one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world.
I'm talking about it creatively.
Well, I'm just saying to pimp something out, and so they went back to the well and went back to episode 1 and episode 4 to kind of tell the exact same story and just set up a trilogy, whereas this, like, it's the 4th film in a franchise.
Well, you could say it's a repeat of Road Warrior 2. Yeah, you could.
No.
You could. Yeah.
There's certain set pieces
Road
with
Warrior
the big rigs that are similar, but just the world that they actually set up here that is kind of touched upon in the other 2 films preceding it, not the first one. Mad Max doesn't really do anything for this world. Even the best action set pieces in The Road Warrior aren't as good as the worst one here. Like, it stands on its own for a lot of reasons. But this is your reason.
Let me talk about. I think I have to say this. Like, what I think makes it a little bit better than Star Wars is. Probably because it is the allegory, I think, that makes it stronger, whereas Star Wars is just a fun space opera. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that is what it is.
Yeah, it's just entertainment. Whereas this one is.
But this is a timely allegory that also comes with visceral thrills, and that really does add a lot more substance to the action once that hits you what it is clearly about, and then you're even more and more invested as it goes on. But aesthetically, there's also a lot that I love. Junkie XL score. I love the 3D here.
Best 3D of the year that I saw.
Yeah. There's a lot of creative beats in the action chase sequences, and I guess when you get down to it, it is a simple action movie. But I think I did say this in the review or at the time. I can't remember because we don't have it. But the simplicity is what's refreshing about this in terms of a blockbuster. We get a lot of them that are great, but they tend to get a little convoluted, not because they're bad, but they got a lot on their minds, and they got to
try to explain a lot of stuff through dialogue.
And they want to get everything. Here, it's just a simple chase film.
Yeah. With
a simple allegory, and it's big, it's epic, it's operatic. The chase itself is thrilling, and it's focused on just doing this one thing. What more can I say? It's no Road Warrior. I'm sorry. That movie is king in my mind. But, even then, coming at a close second, bizarre. Fury Road is still pretty damn great. It's definitely going to be one of the best action movies of this decade.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, no, come on.
I don't know. Like, Infinity War could be pretty good. You don't know. That is this decade.
It could be, yeah, but I mean...
What about Godzilla versus King Kong?
This is the best picture nom.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, I'm just thinking of actual action, not just vehicle destruction.
I think that this is, as far as blockbusters, this is probably...
We'll see. What about Avatar 2?
This is like Dark Knight acclaim for Mad Max, I feel.
Avatar 2 is going to be this decade. Well, we'll see. Like, I think it's still... We're only halfway through this decade. I think it's too early to make that. But it's definitely going to be in the top 3 for sure. Talking about
top 3. Of top 3, yeah.
Yeah, we got a break right here. We're going to do something different. We're not going to go back and forth. We're just going to read them to do it so you can get our top 3 as when we give it to each other. No explanations needed. We'll do that after we say number 1. I think we're going to link up with at least one of these here. So I guess I'll start here. My top 3, or number 3, and I just saw it for the first time 2 days ago, Victoria. Number 2, Steve just talked about it, Mad Max Fury Road. And my best picture of the year is The End of the Tour. What are your top 3?
Dope, Room, End of the Tour.
You put Dope in your top 3 over Mad Max?
I did.
How? Like, I agree with Room. Like, it's not on my list. It's not in my honorable mentions. I already talked about Jacob Tremblay. I love Brie Larson. Like, I just retweeted a picture of her with the crew of Kong Skull Island. So
Uh-huh.
I understand that how that's on there. It's great performance, great world building, but dope. Like it has so many flaws.
You know, I love this movie.
I loved it
Like,
too.
I was
have a
flipping
really good
for it
review
though.
for it.
I was way more enthusiastic than you were. You know this, and honestly, you want me to tell you why?
Yeah, like it
I'm
has a
not
really
sure.
smart story. Like it has a very time-sensitive message, especially about street violence and black kids not being able to do anything in our society. But like we already have an episode about this, and it's shared with Inside Out. But I talk about a lot of things. One of them being that the film doesn't know what narrator it wants to use. There's like 2 or 3 of them. It's really fun, but then it tries to have this like really deep message about things that are going on in society, and it doesn't balance that well. There's really good performances, but then it also tries to be like this really cool party movie with like new takes on how you do different media on screen at the same time. Like there's that really cool part where they're selling the Lily, and it like has like these YouTube sections and Vine and Instagram, and it like has some really interesting edit stuff, but it didn't make my top 10. And like you have to let you speak. Like why is it on yours?
I don't know.
How is number?
This is
you
okay,
had a
okay,
number
like,
11
this
that
is
should have been on your
so-
list, and
this is
you
no,
put
but
in
this is
number
definitely-
5.5.
It's funny because like as I get closer to my favorite movies, it's getting difficult to explain why, because like I know it's not technically flawless, but then to me they kind of appear that way.
Victoria's not flawless, even though
I know I haven't seen it, so I can't say
Yeah.
anything. But I'm not sure how to describe this movie. I want to say like maybe everything I said in the review you can kind of negate, because I think I said I described it as like a high school Goodfellas meets Boys in the Hood.
Yes, I think that's pretty much what you said.
I don't know. I mean, even upon rewatching it, you know, I find myself finding more ways to compare it. Like, I find that bits of it are echoing, like, you know, Scott Pilgrim as if it was set in Inglewood. Like, there's just that energy to it.
Look, you don't even listen to the rappers that make appearances in this movie. Like Vince Staples and A$AP Rocky are like 2 of my favorite contemporary rappers. Okay, like Vince Staples is from Long Beach. Like we talk about this in the episode, and so like there's a big part of that like made me want to see the movie. And you know, Zoe Kravitz, you know, she's in this. She's in Mad Max as well.
Yep.
But like even with how good this
People
young
on that
talented
really-
cast is, with like the lobby boy from
Grand Budapest.
Yeah, from Grand Budapest. Like he's in this, like really good cast, but it wasn't like, it's not best of the year in my opinion. I had it in my honorable mentions for a reason. It makes that trifecta of really good coming of age teen movies, but it's not, oh my god, 2015 is the year of dope.
I just love this movie, man. I can't honestly think of one specific way to describe it. Like there's a lot going on, but it's a high school flick that just injects a ton of adrenaline and just fucking floors it, and that's the best I got.
It's all over the place.
Even then,
though,
I'm
'cause
not
it's doing
sure
that.
if I'm accurately describing it. Like, but here's
has
what I
really
do know for
weird-
my own sake.
It's
for my own
linear
sake.
throughout, and then it has a non-linear section in the middle to try to set up an action set piece that doesn't even work that well anyway.
Here's what I know, like, or what I can best articulate just for myself. I know that this is the most fun movie I've seen this year for me. I know it's the
I can't
funniest
disagree
movie
with that.
I've
Mad
seen
Max
this
and
year.
Magic Mike are really fun, but it is definitely a really fun movie.
It's a different, yeah. It's the funniest movie for me too. I know I love the soundtrack, you know, especially the original songs from REO, the
really good.
fictional band in the film. And you know, even if this is hyper real, I guess I'm also thankful that I didn't fucking grow up in the bottoms, so I'm fortunate there. But this is a
Don't
crazy
you remember
ride.
us? Don't you remember us talking about how fucking weird it is that these kids younger than us are so indebted to like 90s culture that they're actually walking around with cassette decks and Game Boys? But no,
Yeah,
he's playing Super Nintendo. That's what it was.
It's weird, you know. That's the natural knee-jerk reaction though of any youth group, is kind of going against what's popular now. Or I don't know. It depends on where what your attitude is, you know. But like that's not at all unusual. Although some of it seems weird to me, I can definitely buy that someone would do that. But this is just a crazy ride, dude. Like it's fun, it's intense, and when all is said and
Predictable.
done, it ends on a high note for me with a profound statement, you know. And
And then probably the coolest
I
closing credits of the year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of universally relatable elements to it, like just these characters, even if the circumstances are not the same for everybody. Just trying to get out and make a better life for yourself. I think that's relatable.
That's what Magic Mike's about.
And you know, once this hits Netflix, I hope more people see it.
I don't know.
Because,
this one's
it's
Netflix.
Dope, and yes, that pun is absolutely intended. Like,
wait, was this Open Road Films who did this?
Universal put it out.
Not gonna be on Netflix. They don't do Universal on there. It might be on Epix.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't think that Universal has a deal.
Is that that's Paramount?
I mean, I've rewatched the Blu-ray. I've like gone back and looked at some scenes several times. Like I don't know. Maybe the Scott Pilgrim comparison is best because it is crazy.
I think it's a little off though. It doesn't have that meta.
It has that
element
crazy
to it.
energy though. Like and there are like split screen moments too. Like that I thought kind of echoed that, and
it's not campy.
You know,
like
especially just the way that it's done. How like some scenes cut to different locations, and then they go back and they play it in reverse and follow a car to get to another location. A bunch of like it's very sporadic and just pumped with so much energy. And I love the way that this is made. Like I really love this movie. Is it, you know, if you really want to nitpick why this is above Mad Max, I think it's probably a bit more charitable because this is a smaller film when really they're kind of both tied in that sense. But I mean, yeah, you know, this was a big surprise for me, and I love it, and I enjoy the music, and I like rewatching parts of it, and it's so much fun, dude.
No, yes, like I said, like it along with Paper Towns and to a lesser extent Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, like in the future, I can totally see younger millennials looking at those as, you know, their John Hughes movies, especially Dope and Paper Towns. Like those are gonna have a lasting impressions for years to come. But like this movie, like I don't think it's special. Like it's really good. Like I really liked it. And if I was flipping channels and it was on TV, I'd probably stop and watch it for some odd amount of time. But it didn't make my list for a reason. Like it, in a sense of the word, it did because it's an honorable mention. But it wasn't. Oh my God, Dope. What movie do you recommend this year? Dope. It's not that.
It was
me.
Dope.
You already tried doing that before in our episode.
You put out an honorable mention.
Yeah, like it is on my list. It's just not
it really
above Mad Max.
It sticks out to me as just something far more unique, and I mean, it's just it's a ride that I love going on. It's crazy, it's unique, and I just love it, man. Like I can't. It's really tough to peg it as one thing because there's so many things that are happening. Yeah, but so what do you got? You got Victoria?
Yeah, I already talked about this last night. It made my top 3 just because of the spectacle here, and you could argue it's the same thing that Birdman did, but once again, Birdman cheated a lot. This doesn't at all, and Birdman. The difference is that you have really great actors doing really cool stuff, and you got huge environments and all that stuff. And Victoria, it's just this very small cast of characters doing these things, but the fact that it's in real time and it does it so well, even if the camera is jumping around and shaky and you can tell the camera operator's running, it doesn't matter because it fits the mood and the pace that the rest of the film is told at. And like I said, it's not perfect. There's a couple of flaws here, one of which being like, yeah, towards the earlier part, like around the end of the first act, there's this part where like non-diegetic music is overlapped, so you can't hear dialogue, which just didn't rub me the right way. Like it didn't make sense, especially because the rest of the movie does the opposite of that. It's all about reality. Like maybe because, you know, this is a 2-hour single take and they only did it 3 times to get the final product, that maybe the dialogue was kind of fucked up there, or maybe the director was saying something. I don't know. But if it wasn't for that one thing, I would give it 5 stars. It would have been amazing. Probably would have been number 2. So yeah, I can't say much about this movie because you got to see it, but it's definitely, in my opinion, the best love story of the year. Number 1, we both picked it. And the 2 I think we both
gone through number 2 yet. Or I don't.
Well, Room, like we don't really have to talk about Room. We have an actual.
I do want.
Like I know why it's on your list. Like it is a very solid movie. It barely didn't make mine. Like it's.
I really do. Technically, want to talk about, though, because this is the most emotional movie of the year for me.
Like I know it's not in my honorable mentions and it's not on my list, but I struggled finding. It was originally my number 7, and I made it lower, and then I made it lower, and then it found itself not on there. And it should be. If I had a fucking number 11 like you do too, it would probably be my number 11, not Steve Jobs. It would be that one. And if for no other reason, Jacob Tremblay, and the fact that Brie Larson after this film is gonna go on to actually be a well-respected actress, because Short Term 12 didn't do that for her, and her short little part in Trainwreck didn't either. By the way, talking about overlooked performances, Michael Cena, or not Cena, I mean John Cena.
Yeah, John Cena.
He made Trainwreck funny. It was him and LeBron, those two. Like, talk about athletes that can act, like they can. But yeah, Room should be on my list. It isn't for some reason. I think it was just because I don't know. I don't know why it's on my list, to be honest.
That's too bad. Like, it really was the most emotional movie of the year for me. Because it's such a dark story too. That might seem strange to describe. It's really weird because the setup is so awful.
Yeah.
Yet, I mean, there really is this warm and like joyous feeling that just comes through the kid. Who's really none the wiser of what's really going on. And I guess because he's raised in an environment that's horrible, and yet the way that Ma raises him to see the more positive elements, to inspire imagination, to just treat him like a kid, like that stuff's just beautiful. I mean, the fact that she's able to do that to provide relief in such horrible circumstances.
The morning room.
And that this kid can still be like, have just as much fun and be imaginative. Like, I just, like, aside from being the most powerful movie of the year, like about overcoming trauma, I've said this before, like I think this is one of the best movies about childhood that I've ever seen. Like, this kid is a kid. He's able to have fun with little things in the way that kids do. There's moments where he's just laying around bored in the way that kids do, and even the more snotty moments where he's just being a selfish dick. Like, you can't be mad at him because, like, he wouldn't understand why he's making a moment's more difficult. Like, it's just played so well, and like the whole thing being the whole thing being presented from that perspective.
Yeah, of the kid.
That's what I mean to say. And while nothing adult is overly stated, it's clearly implied.
I wouldn't say clearly, but yeah.
But because you're an adult, like, you get what's going on. Like, I think you said something like this. Like, you could show this movie to a 5-year-old kid,
and it would be fun. There wouldn't be subject matter here that you would have to cover their eyes for, or have to explain to them after. Like, it is. I think in the episode I explained it as being like a Pixar movie, in that there are these jokes behind the scenes that parents get, and for this, it's with that graphic, disturbing content. Like, you don't want your kid to see it, but you could show this to them, and they would take away, oh, it'd be really interesting to always live in just one room, huh? Among other things.
It's amazing. Like, just seeing it through this kid, like through that lens, through that innocence, just while he's, being a kid and reacting to everything around him, how he's even, not aware, but he still knows, like, there's something that's not quite right, and he tries to make up for it by doing something nice, or just
see,
like,
this should be on my list.
You really have to be made of stone to not be moved by this movie.
It really should be on my list, and I couldn't find a spot for it.
Yeah,
and because not everyone puts 12 movies on their top 10. So if I could do a quick retcon right now,
I put 11.
You put 12. You put 99 Homes, and you had a number 11.
I said Anomalisa would probably be number 11.
Yeah.
But but that's not a firm thing.
Whatever. You have 12. You have 12. So if you have 12, I can have 11. I would put Room in between Spotlight and The Good Dinosaur. And the only reason that didn't make my list in the first place is because while it's a very powerful movie, and the 2 stars are very great in it, and it's, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know. It's just, I think he was trying to pull on the heartstrings a little too much for me. Or I think that once they leave Room, it started falling apart, in my opinion. It became, I don't know. It became not harder to watch, but I was less enamored with the world building.
Oh, I don't feel bad if you're going to add it to your list like that. It's good that you're giving it a spot. So if anything, I feel like I did good here.
You did good.
Yep. It's weird that we decided to do it this way, just reveal it all. I thought the way it was going to be done was you go down your 3 and then I go down my 3, but we kind of just pointed it out all right, right away.
Number 1, I think it's the one that people care about because it's not on any award ceremonies. It didn't really get recognized at anything besides like maybe like the Independent Spirit Awards or like Sundance. It might have won something, or I'm sure there's some critics out there that have it on their top 10. Let me double check just in case. But even like on Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes, it wasn't that high of a received movie. And
I mean, I'm surprised we both pretty much stuck to our guns when we said that this would probably be the number one right when we saw it.
I mean, and you have, I was wrong. It's a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 82 on Metacritic, and IMDb gave it a 7.4. It's just a really powerful movie about, not powerful in the way that Room is or like Spotlight, but in just an introspective point of view. Like you watch this movie and you can't help think things about not just yourself, but about people you know and the world that we live in and our society and so many things. And never mind, it's on a ton of best of 2015 lists.
Oh, that's good.
But not just that, but just the performances. Like Jason Segel reinvents himself as a dramatic actor in this movie.
Okay, you could make me look like a real dick if you print this.
No, I'm not going to, but if you can, speak into the mic.
Yes, you're performing muscular movements with your hand as you're jerking off, but what you're really doing, I think, is you're running a movie in your head. You're having a fantasy relationship with somebody who is not real, strictly to stimulate a neurological response. So look, as the internet grows in the next 10, 15 years, and virtual reality pornography becomes a reality, we're going to have to develop some real machinery inside our guts to turn off pure unalloyed pleasure, or I don't know about you, I'm going to have to leave the planet.
Why?
Because the technology is just going to get better and better, and it's going to get easier and easier and more convenient and more pleasurable to sit alone with images on a screen given to us by people who do not love us but want our money. And that's fine in low doses. But if it's the basic main staple of your diet, you're going to die.
Well, come on.
In a very meaningful way. You're going to die.
And he's kind of done drama before, like in my 2012 best of year, I put on whatchamacallit? Shit.
Jeff Who Lives at Home?
Jeff Who Lives at Home, which is also a more dramatic role that he did. And maybe I just love Jason Segel, and there's definitely, I can definitely say I do.
Well,
I mean, this is, directed by James Ponsoldt, who did The Spectacular Now, which I know was your favorite movie that year, right?
Yeah, this is the second time Ponsoldt has
your number one.
Yeah, not
Smash.
I'm expecting. Yeah,
Smash with Mary Elizabeth Winstead is also,
which is really good,
really good. I know you're reading the book it's adapted from, right?
And it's a really good read. Like, I recommend it. It's because I'm not going to say, oh, the book is better than the movie, but because it's the conversations like actually being transcribed, so you just get more from what you got out of the movie. It's just getting more, and it's really nice getting even more insight out of that, because it's these are transcribed conversations. It's not like they're structured in a way to give it some narrative flow for convenience, but yeah, there are very specific things that are brought back line for line. But I'm glad you talked about this first, because I still don't know how to articulate this in a movie as being my favorite movie of the year in a way that's objective, because I feel like if I talk about it,
if it's your favorite from the movie of the year, it can't be objective.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's anyone in an artistic field is going to relate to this movie. Any struggling artist will. So how do you talk about this in a way without coming off like an asshole? Like, oh, but it hits me personally.
It goes beyond that.
It speaks to what I'm thinking about, and yeah, it goes
like we
beyond
have
it. It's not just things that you go through in life, but like things that you think about in the future, things that you think about other people. Having to deal with depression, there's the love. There's so much.
I'm sure our review for this film is really good. But like I wrote a pretty good piece about it too. It's just like, if you consider yourself an artist or you're artfully inclined, then you're going to take away more from it. But just the conversations they were having 20 years ago are still timely, and I pointed this out more than once before, like what they're talking about in terms of virtual reality, and a lot of stuff. It's just I think the way I explained it is the reason I love, Before Sunrise and Before Sunset and Midnight as well, or even Boyhood, or in case of my number 3 pick of this year, Victoria, the very similitude that they make, that you're actually living this, that you're experiencing these characters. That's the same vibe that this film has. And instead of being motivated through a romance, it is just a conversation. It's a series of conversations, and not only are they great, and you're talking about Jason Segel being, really good, but on top of that, like Jesse Eisenberg, he stands out as, he's not the joke here. He's not playing, the stoner goofball or the egomaniac or something like that. Like he brings something more than he usually does.
Especially, I guess, getting to technical, like I never mentioned this before, but it's something when I rewatched it that really stuck with me. Danny Elfman's score, which it's more like it's sort of like binaural beats, I guess, in a weird way, or just tones, but like it's such a subtle, like, atmospheric quality that it gives. And there's this thing of like glass hitting like bells. I don't know how to describe it, but it's. There's just really something about it that just feels very nice and pleasant, and like I don't think it's a score that I would, maybe like just for the background, if I want to like try to
write to it,
try to calm myself. No, not necessarily, because it's very calming. I don't know how to describe it. It's such a nice feeling that's coming from it, though. Like it's very, very simple, like not overly, doesn't really do much. It's going for one effect, and it does it perfectly.
I forgot this was Danny Elfman.
Yeah, no, it's a funny story about how that happened, because it's on the Blu-ray. I guess he was playing water polo with guys or something, and one of the guys that was at the gym that he goes to was the first AC on the end of the tour. And he was talking about it. He's like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, it's it's a David Foster Wallace movie." And Danny Elfman's like, "Oh, interesting." And he let it slip with his agent of, "Oh, hey, by the way, do they have a composer for the end of the tour
like
yet?"
that.
And he was like, "Let me check on that." They do not. Oh, well, can we talk about that? Yeah. So he came in post, but yeah, it's just really, really cool. Yeah, it was done on a very low budget, the score, but the effect that it gives the film, I think, it's really nice.
Well, I think that's our list. We went over it. I forgot to put Room on mine somehow. I blame Steve.
No, I'm glad I brought it up, because you added it. That you fixed that. There we go.
Well, technically, I fixed it. I maybe I still can. It's not published yet. So yeah, thanks for listening. We're going to be publishing this sometime soon, so you're going to be hearing it in a couple hours from now. I don't know why they said that. You can find us online at Dollar Reviews. Also, that's not just Twitter, but also Facebook. We're in the process of finding a domain and trying to revamp our website presence. In the meantime, you can go to dollarreviewspodcast.wordpress.com. I'm also in the process of reinvigorating our YouTube channel and lots of things. It's the beginning of the year. We're trying to make it special. If you got any kind of feedback, we'd love it. Personally, you can reach us both on Twitter. We've already gave out those handles. We can do that again if you'd like. Or on top of that, also Letterboxd, where these lists will be published. We're going to be tweeting that out so you can actually see these and not have to sit through 2 hours of content. Thanks for being a great listener. We hope your year's off to a good start. We hope you enjoy these films if you already have seen them, or you got something new to see if you haven't.